Welcome to the Smart Keys podcast. If you have ever stared down a chaotic, overflowing inbox,
Oh, the worst feeling.
right, or felt that creeping dread of manually preparing and sending out another massive batch of routine emails, you are in exactly the right place.
Absolutely.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack a highly comprehensive 16-minute read by Felix Romer over at smartkeys.org. We are going to explore how to transform that chaotic manual process into a fully automated, stress-free revenue engine.
And it's a very necessary transition for businesses today.
It really is. To kick things off, there's a statistic from this research that absolutely stopped me in my tracks. Right now, automated messages drive 31% of all e-commerce orders.
Wow.
Yeah. And the return on investment, it is staggering. We're talking about an average of $36 back for every single dollar spent on automation.
I mean, that's just a massive structural shift in how business operates today. That ROI metric really highlights, why this matters so much to the current landscape.
You can't ignore 36-to-1 return.
Exactly. And 63% of all marketing automation currently revolves entirely around email. What we are witnessing is a fundamental transition away from the old school manual batch and blast era.
The era where you just sent the same message to 50,000 people and hoped for the best.
Right, exactly. Instead, businesses are engineering these 24/7 strategic, highly measurable journeys. And honestly, the real value here isn't just in the conversions.
Really. I mean, 36-to-1 is hard to beat.
It is, but it's fundamentally about reclaiming human time. When a well-oiled automated system handles the triggers, the routing, and the timing, it frees up professionals.
Oh, I see. So they can focus on high-level creative strategy.
Yes. Rather than getting bogged down in repetitive, soul-crushing administrative tasks.
Okay, let's unpack this, because knowing that automation generates that kind of return is one thing. But understanding the underlying mechanics of how these flows actually function in the wild is where the magic happens.
It really is the engine under the hood.
Right, so how do we actually transition from a manual, anxiety-inducing send button to a smart, invisible journey?
Well, it all comes down to architecture. There are 4 fundamental building blocks that make up any automated email workflow.
Okay, lay them out for me.
First, you have your triggers. This is the catalyst that kicks the entire machine into gear. It could be someone signing up for a newsletter or downloading a specific PDF guide.
Or like adding a pair of shoes to their cart.
Exactly. That's a perfect trigger. Second, you have conditions. This is the routing logic. The system assesses the person who just triggered the flow and splits them down different paths based on specific criteria.
Criteria like what?
Maybe it checks their geographic region or, it looks to see if they have purchased from you in the last 6 months.
So it's essentially a Rube Goldberg machine, but one equipped with smart sensors. Like, the trigger drops the marble, but the conditions are the trapdoors that decide exactly which track that marble rolls down.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. Which brings us to the third block, actions.
Actions, okay.
Yeah, these are the actual concrete tasks the system executes once the marble rolls down that specific track. An action could be sending an email, but it could also be introducing a strategic waiting period of 3 days.
Oh, so just doing nothing for a bit is an action.
Right, or updating a hidden field in the customer's CRM profile, or applying a tag that categorizes them as a high-intent buyer.
Got it. And the fourth block?
The fourth block, which is honestly the most critical for protecting your brand reputation, is the endpoint. This is the ultimate destination that stops the automated sequence entirely once a specific conversion occurs.
Now, representing the listener here, I have to raise a huge concern.
Sure, go ahead.
If you are setting up this massive, multi-layered Rube Goldberg machine to run automatically in the background, doesn't that inherently risk spamming people?
I hear that all the time.
I mean, if a customer takes a weird turn or the trapdoors keep dropping them into new paths, aren't we just going to relentlessly bombard them with messages?
What's fascinating here is how the concept of endpoints completely neutralizes that risk. Well, provided the architecture is set up correctly anyway.
So it's a safety net.
Exactly. The whole strategy relies on defining one concrete North Star goal per sequence. You aren't just letting the marble roll indefinitely.
You're guiding it.
Right. You are driving toward a highly specific, measurable outcome, and you build in strict exit criteria.
Walk me through that. What does a North Star goal actually look like in practice?
Let's say your North Star goal for a specific workflow is to convert a first-time browser into a buyer within 14 days.
Yeah.
Every single message, every conditional split, every waiting period in that flow is meticulously aligned to that one result. Now, here's where the exit criteria act as your safeguard.
Right, if they buy early.
Precisely. If your goal is to convert that browser within 14 days and they make a purchase on day 3, the endpoint criteria is instantly met.
Oh, nice.
The system detects the purchase and immediately yanks them off that specific automated track. The messages stop.
That makes total sense. By defining that outcome and stopping the machinery the exact moment the goal is achieved, businesses avoid over-messaging.
Yeah, it prevents subscriber burnout.
And it guarantees they are never hitting someone with a promotional pitch for something they just bought at full price, which is the most annoying thing ever.
It really is. It destroys trust instantly.
I see. You are basically putting a sensor at the cash register that instantly tells the sales rep following them around the store to back off. The machine just stops for that specific person.
That's a great analogy.
So the mechanics make sense. But all this theory doesn't mean much without a practical playbook. Let's talk about what actually works.
Sure. Where should we start?
Starting with the very first interaction a customer has with a brand, the welcome sequence.
Oh, the welcome sequence is arguably your most valuable digital real estate.
Yeah.
It really sets the behavioral tone for the entire relationship.
Because it's a first impression.
Exactly. You are training the subscriber on what to expect when they see your name in their inbox.
Right. And there is a very precise 3 to 5 step welcome journey outlined for this in the read. I want to run through the timeline because it's surprisingly methodical.
It's very structured, yeah.
It starts with an immediate welcome and setup message the second they subscribe. Then, on days 1 to 2, you send a tutorial showing off a core feature.
Keeping it helpful.
Yeah. Days 3 to 5, you spotlight a secondary, maybe lesser-known benefit. And finally, around day 7, you send a milestone check-in to see if they have found value yet.
The psychology behind that exact pacing is brilliant. Notice what is missing from those first few days.
A hard sales pitch.
Exactly. A hard pitch. It's entirely about front-loading value. You don't ask for a massive commitment or try to upsell them on day 1 when they barely know you.
You give them a quick, easy win.
Right. That tutorial on days 1 or 2 usually focuses on the single feature or product most closely tied to long-term retention.
That makes sense.
But the deeper, stealthier strategic layer happening during this week-long sequence is a concept called progressive profiling.
Progressive profiling. Wait, does that mean you are secretly tracking them in the background, or are you actually asking them questions?
Oh.
Because one of those sounds incredibly helpful, and the other sounds like a privacy nightmare.
Yeah, I get that. It is entirely permission-based and behavior-driven, which makes it incredibly elegant.
Okay, good.
Progressive profiling means learning about your users slowly over time by observing their organic interactions with your content without ever introducing friction.
As opposed to what?
Think about the old way. Forcing a new subscriber to fill out a massive, intimidating form with 20 questions about their job title, income, and interests just to get your weekly newsletter.
Oh, I hate those. People just bounce.
Exactly, they bounce. Progressive profiling flips the script. You ask for nothing up front except the email address.
Keep the barrier to entry low.
Right. Then you watch what they click. If you send an email with 3 different tutorials and they click the one about advanced data reporting, the automation system quietly adds a tag to their profile, labeling them as a data-focused user.
That is so smart.
Or in the day 5 email, you might include a quick one-click poll asking what topics they prefer. You are building a rich, highly accurate data profile of this person step by step.
Based purely on their actual behavior rather than what they claim on a form.
Yeah.
That is so much more respectful of their time and attention.
It really is.
You are essentially letting their actions dictate the relationship. But even with a perfectly engineered welcome sequence, human nature guarantees that people will drop off. We all get distracted.
Oh, constantly.
Which brings us to the rescue systems. Here's where it gets really interesting. Abandoned cart flows.
Yes, a classic.
We have all left something in a digital shopping cart. But diving into the psychology of how businesses map out their responses to those abandoned carts is just fascinating.
Abandoned cart flows are an absolute masterclass in behavioral psychology and timing. Every single hour counts.
Let's look at the suggested playbook. It starts 1 hour after abandonment with a simple reminder. 24 hours later, a message leveraging social proof or scarcity.
Yep.
48 hours later, a targeted financial incentive. And at the 72-hour mark, a final reminder before they exit the sequence. What is the human psychology driving that specific timeline? Why wait an hour? Why not 10 minutes?
Well, if you email them after 10 minutes, you seem desperate.
And creepy.
Yeah, and you might actually interrupt them while they're just looking for their credit card. At 1 hour, you are catching hot intent.
Okay, hot intent.
The psychology here is that they likely didn't abandon the cart because they suddenly hated the product. They abandoned it because their doorbell rang, or their boss walked by, or they had to switch tabs.
Life just happens.
Exactly. A simple, helpful reminder at the 1 hour mark captures that interrupted intent.
Okay, but what if they ignore that? Why shift to social proof at the 24-hour mark?
Because if they haven't bought it after a full day, they have slept on it. The initial impulse has faded and rationalization has set in.
Buyer's remorse before they even buy.
Right. Buyer's remorse, or in this case, non-buyer's hesitation, takes over. They are wondering if the product is actually any good or if they really need it.
So you reassure them.
So at 24 hours, you don't push the product. You push the community. You show them 5-star reviews, user-generated photos, or testimonials from people who bought that exact item.
You are using social pressure to validate their initial desire. So you are essentially testing their patience and their desire before you ever test their wallet.
Exactly.
Because the financial incentive, the discount, doesn't show up until 48 hours.
Precisely. And that is a crucial strategic rule for protecting your profit margins.
Oh, that makes sense.
If you offer a 10% discount at the 1 hour mark, you are just giving away free money to someone who is probably going to buy it anyway once they found their wallet.
You're just cutting into your own revenue.
Right. You rely on intent at hour 1 and social proof at hour 24. Only when those psychological levers fail do you deploy the discount to capture the truly price-sensitive segment at hour 48.
And to make those earlier reminders effective, the strategy strongly leans on dynamic product blocks.
Yes, those are essential.
This means the system automatically pulls the exact image, color, and size of the specific items they left behind right into the email. It completely removes the cognitive friction.
They don't have to try and remember what they were looking at.
Exactly, staring right back at them.
But here is the critical pivot. All of this brilliant behavioral psychology, the perfectly timed incentives, the dynamic images, it all instantly falls apart if the email looks like garbage.
Or if the link is broken.
Right, or if the whole thing lands in the spam folder. The tech stack is the invisible foundation that actually makes this strategy possible.
Let's dig into that technical foundation. The choice of platform matters immensely. There is a strong preference right now for no-code visual builders, platforms like CleverTap.
Oh yeah, they are great.
Mostly because they offer features like live A/B testing and dark mode previews.
The dark mode preview feature is actually a huge deal. Think about how many people check their phones in bed or early in the morning using dark mode.
I do that every morning.
Right, most people do. If your automated email hasn't been optimized for that environment, your beautifully designed logo might suddenly have a hideous white box around it.
Ew. Yeah, that looks terrible.
Or your dark gray text might completely vanish against a black background. If your brand looks broken, you lose all the credibility you spent days building in that welcome sequence.
But the technical pitfalls go way beyond just aesthetics. We need to talk about deliverability. What good is a brilliant 72-hour cart sequence if Gmail just throws it straight into the junk folder?
Exactly. It's useless.
There are some very specific authentication protocols required now to prove you are who you say you are.
Yes, the days of just spinning up an email address and blasting out marketing are over. You have to authenticate your domain using protocols like SBF, DKIM, and DMARC.
I know that sounds like alphabet soup.
It does, but they are essential.
Let's break that alphabet soup down for the listener. Explain SBF and DKIM to me like I am 5.
Okay, think of your domain like an exclusive VIP party. SBF, or Sender Policy Framework, is essentially the guest list you hand to the bouncer.
Okay, so a guest list.
When an email arrives at a server like Gmail, Gmail checks your SPF record to see if the platform sending the email, say MailChimp or HubSpot, is actually on your approved guest list.
And if they aren't?
If they aren't on the list, Gmail assumes they are an imposter and throws the email in the trash.
I love that. So SPF is the guest list. What is DKIM?
DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, is like a digital wax seal on the envelope of your email.
Oh, a wax seal.
Yeah, it proves to the receiving server that the contents of the email haven't been tampered with or altered in transit by a malicious third party.
Got it. And DMARC.
And DMARC is simply the master instruction manual you give to the bouncer, telling them exactly what to do if an email fails either the guest list check or the wax seal check.
That makes total sense. Without those 3 things, you are just a stranger knocking on Gmail's door in the middle of the night.
Exactly. You're not getting in.
Now, speaking of technical quirks, there's a very specific warning about Microsoft systems that caught my eye.
Yes, this is a classic pitfall. When teams use systems like SharePoint Designer to trigger workflows, if they aren't meticulous during configuration, the system will often default the sender address to the system administrator's email.
That is an absolute nightmare. Imagine mapping out this beautiful, highly personalized 14-day customer journey.
And it comes from the IT guy.
Yes, and every single intimate touchpoint arrives in their inbox looking like it was sent by IT admin desk at company.com. It instantly shatters the illusion of a one-to-one brand relationship.
It happens more often than you'd think, and the complexities multiply when you start dealing with advanced dynamic links.
I wanted to ask you about that. If I have 10,000 people in a workflow, and I need to send them 10,000 completely unique links to their specific portals, invoices, or secure documents, how do I generate those dynamically without breaking them?
This is where things get highly technical, particularly with SharePoint variables. But understanding the mechanism is vital. When constructing dynamic links for documents, the recommendation is to use a specific lookup variable called Encoded Absolute URL.
Why encoded? If I have a file named Q3 report, why can't the system just plug in those words?
Because the underlying architecture of the internet fundamentally hates spaces and special characters.
Oh, right.
If you drop a standard space into a web link, the link essentially shatters like fragile glass. An encoded absolute URL takes that space and translates it into internet-safe characters, usually a percentage sign and the number 20.
So it acts like bubble wrap.
That's exactly it. It
Wow.
wraps those fragile special characters in a safe encoding so that when the email client processes the link, it survives the journey and actually points to the correct document.
So you are bubble wrapping the links. And for standard list items, they advise building URLs using a specific ID parameter, like $ID equals current item ID.
Correct. By constructing URLs based purely on a database ID number rather than the name of the file, you create a rock-solid, unbreakable path.
No more shattered links.
Right. The absolute worst thing you can do is use unstable fields like a server relative URL or a path variable, because the moment an email client renders those, they notoriously corrupt.
And that leads your user to a massive, frustrating 404 error page.
Exactly.
With all these variables, dynamic tags, and conditional trapdoors, the margin for error seems incredibly high. How does a team prevent sending out that dreaded, embarrassing email that starts with hi bracket, first name bracket?
You prevent it by establishing an ironclad paranoid quality assurance protocol. You never, ever hit launch without walking every single branch of your workflow in a sandbox environment.
Using what they call seed contacts.
Yes, seed contacts.
Like a dress rehearsal for the automation.
Exactly like a dress rehearsal, but for every conceivable scenario. You don't just test the happy path where the user does everything right.
You test the weird paths.
You need a specific fake email address, a seed contact for every condition. You need a Gmail seed, an Outlook seed, a mobile dark mode seed, a user who buys on day 1, and a user who ignores everything until day 14.
That is incredibly thorough.
You physically simulate the entire user journey, forcing the system down every fallback path and waiting period. That short, repeatable QA checklist is the only thing standing between you and a massive blow to your brand's trust.
Okay, so we have covered the routing mechanics, the psychological playbooks for welcome and cart sequences, and the deeply technical bubble wrapping required to keep it all functional.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. Now, I want to elevate the conversation to why this actually matters to a company's bottom line. How do these strict QA protocols and automated journeys translate into a competitive advantage?
It's all about list hygiene.
Let's talk about that. There is a strong emphasis on creating a win-back sequence for users who have been inactive for, say, 30 to 90 days.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the concept of list hygiene is completely misunderstood by most businesses. A lot of marketers feel a genuine sense of panic and loss when they have to remove subscribers from their database.
Sure, they spent money acquiring those leads.
But defining a strict window of inactivity like 90 days and running an automated win-back sequence is your last-ditch rescue effort. If they still don't engage, you systematically delete them.
Delete them entirely.
Yes. And here is the paradigm shift. Deleting unresponsive people isn't a failure. It is a highly strategic, offensive move.
That feels counterintuitive. How is shrinking your potential audience an offensive move? Aren't you just limiting your reach?
You are only shrinking your audience on paper. In reality, you are aggressively protecting your sender reputation.
Back to the bouncer at Gmail.
Exactly. Think about it from the perspective of an email service provider like Gmail. Gmail's core product is providing an inbox free of junk. They closely monitor how many people are actually opening and engaging with your emails.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If you continually force your messages onto thousands of dormant accounts who haven't opened an email in a year, Gmail's algorithms assume your content is low-quality spam.
So they punish you.
Right. To protect their users, they start routing all of your emails to the spam folder, including the emails sent to your best, most loyal customers who actually want to read them.
Wow.
Pruning the dead weight is addition by subtraction. It guarantees your deliverability remains pristine.
That is fascinating. You have to sacrifice the ghosts to save the living.
I like that phrasing.
And that philosophy ties perfectly into how compliance is framed not just as a legal annoyance, but as a strategic advantage. We are talking about strict privacy laws like CAN-SPAM and GDPR in Europe.
Right. Nobody enjoys dealing with compliance audits. But the strategy here is to use tools like preference centers to turn a legal hurdle into a massive trust-building exercise.
Instead of just slapping a tiny microscopic unsubscribe link at the bottom of the email, you give them a dashboard.
Precisely. You give them control. If someone is feeling overwhelmed by your daily promotional emails, their first instinct is to hit that global unsubscribe button and vanish forever.
Which hurts.
But a preference center gives them a low-friction way to opt down instead of opting out entirely.
Opting down meaning what?
Maybe they just want a weekly digest instead of daily blasts. Or maybe they only want to hear about software updates, but they don't care about your marketing webinars.
Oh, brilliant.
By honoring those granular preferences, you keep them happily inside your ecosystem, you strictly adhere to privacy laws, and you signal to the customer that you actually respect their inbox. It builds immense brand loyalty.
And to prove that all of this structure, testing, and psychology actually moves the needle, there's a compelling case study about a travel platform called Ixigo.
Oh, the Ixigo case study is fantastic.
They completely overhauled their automated systems. They utilized journey mapping, which basically means they looked at the Rube Goldberg machine to spot exactly which trapdoors were causing users to drop off.
Right, they analyzed the flow.
They ran fast, systematic A/B tests on subject lines, and they implemented the dynamic, personalized visuals we discussed earlier. The results were undeniable.
What were the numbers again?
A 54% lift in open rates and a 3% improvement in overall click-through rates.
That's huge.
It really proves that making small, data-driven tweaks within a structurally sound system yields exponential gains. You don't have to constantly reinvent your marketing. You just need to align the machinery properly.
And that highlights why establishing an optimization rhythm is the final piece of the puzzle. You establish a baseline metric. You test one specific variable at a time.
Like changing the wait period in a cart flow from 1 hour to 2 hours.
Exactly. And you permanently scale whichever version proves more profitable.
So what does this all mean? We have digested the internal anatomy of workflows, the behavioral psychology of welcome and abandoned cart sequences, the nitty-gritty tech stack requirements for authentication, and the strategic ROI of list hygiene.
It's a massive playbook.
It is. If you are a professional listening to this and you are staring at your own chaotic systems right now, what is the single most practical takeaway to start implementing this today?
The most practical advice is a simple mantra. Start small and scale fast.
Start small.
The biggest mistake you can make is trying to build a massive 50-branch automated labyrinth on your first attempt. It will break, and you will lose your mind trying to fix it.
So keep it simple.
Instead, pick one highly specific entry trigger, like a basic newsletter signup or the purchase of your flagship product. Build a simple 3-step sequence mapped to one concrete North Star goal.
Do the dress rehearsal.
Right. Run it through the QA dress rehearsal in a sandbox. Launch it. Prove its impact on your bottom line. And only after you have validated that it works, take those exact mechanics and replicate them across your other customer segments.
Start small, validate, then scale. I love that.
But this raises an important question, something for you to really mull over as you think about the future of your own career and business strategy.
Ooh, okay.
We have spent this entire time talking about how automation software removes the manual labor of drafting messages and physically hitting send.
Right.
If the algorithms and the trapdoors are doing all the heavy lifting of execution, then the future of marketing isn't really about writing anymore.
It's not.
It is almost entirely about behavioral psychology. It is about studying the quiet digital body language of your customers,
You do a body line.
analyzing where they pause, what they click, when they hesitate, and when they drop off, and then architecting a system that anticipates their very next move before they even realize they want to make it.
Wow. translating digital body language into a proactive 24/7 journey. It really brings us full circle.
That does.
You aren't just trying to survive a chaotic inbox anymore. You are engineering an intelligent, empathetic system that builds relationships and revenue while you sleep.
Exactly.
Thank you for tuning in to the Smart Keys podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a deep dive, and make sure to read Felix Romer's full comprehensive article. You can find the link right down in the show notes.